So the Clippers with a 6-point lead, much needed victory if they can pull this one out in the sense that December 4th, they were on top of the Western Conference standings. They're riding a 5-game losing streak, and right now they're in the 8th spot out west. Where's it going wrong for them, Coach?
Well, they've had a couple of things going on. First of all, they're 0-5 when Lou Williams isn't there, so that's a problem with the Clippers. They need Lou Williams, obviously. Their defensive ratings, 20th right now, okay, in the last 5 games. And last 5 games, okay, their offensive rating also not at the top of the league, when you put it that way. So they struggle at both ends of the floor, and it could be. When you lose a guy like Lou Williams, you're going to struggle at the offensive end. And then an injury here, a Gallinari going out here, those kinds of things wind up being important to them. But they went from playing so well to where now they're struggling. When you look at them in the league ratings, rebounding, a big concern for them.
I think when you get to this portion of the season, Coach, you really start settling in, into who you are as a team. In the absence of a 4 or 5 game win streak here or there where you get hot and just the schedule's everything you need it to be, you really are what your DNA says you are. And this is a team, look at what they've lost the past couple of years. We were celebrating them early in the year when they were playing really well and kind of riding that wave of nobody expecting them to be a good team. But now that they've kind of settled into who they are, the reality is maybe is not as fluffy as you want it to be if you're Doc Rivers. You don't have the kind of talent you can go to if a Lou Williams is hurt and easily replace the production he gives you.
So just to make sure we're understanding this right, you're saying early in the season when the Clippers were first in the West, we didn't think they would remain there, that's not who they were. But 8th in the West, that is who they are.
I don't know if 8th is who they are. They could very well drop out of that top 8 and struggle to get back in it because, when your best player is the 6th man of the year, there are a lot of other teams in the West who bring more firepower to the table. That's just a fact. So you got to be careful that you don't try and overplay whatever the expectations are and think that's sustainable. You got to really know who you are as a team and then play to that limit, to me, as opposed to trying to play over your head all the time.
And let's remember, there were some new things, new pieces going on over there, and you were getting high-energy performances from other guys. Gortat coming in, wind up, taking over the center position. Tobias Harris, okay, energy there. Gallinari was healthy for a long stretch of time because that's been his problem since he came in the league. He gets hurt, and he just misses so many games for the teams that he's on. So everything was good. Everything was together early on. And now these little chinks and pieces that are missing take this team from one level, and they've dropped down. I'm just concerned that if they get out of that 7-8 position and spiral downward, they may not have enough firepower to get themselves back up into the playoff picture.
Exactly.
And when we look on the flip side of that, the San Antonio Spurs, in early December, we were looking at them as a team out of the playoff picture. Currently, they're 6th, but they've really found their rhythm. DeMar DeRozan sat out last game, Friday night, and they still won. And they seem to be able to weather the storm. But again, they need LaMarcus Aldridge to score 20 or more. I think they're 21-5 now when he does that. So is that really just the key with that team, is making sure LaMarcus scores 20 and everything is right in the world?
Well, I mean, I think it's always that simple when you look at the numbers, just the raw numbers. This is, same with the Clippers. 0-5 without Lou Williams. You can say, well, if Lou plays, they got a shot. Well, yeah, you certainly have a shot, but you have to be able to play to a certain set, Coach, when you level off. When you get to that point in the season, 45, 50 games in, where it becomes very obvious to everybody else in the league who you are and how to defend you, how to scheme for you, how to prepare for you, you have to find a way to play to a certain level if you're that team because everybody else has figured you out. So what can you bring different? What wrinkles can you bring when you see a team for the 2nd or 3rd time in a season to give you an advantage?
I think they're an interesting team from the standpoint that L.A. has to be a constant for him. Okay, he's got to play at the level he's capable of playing at. When you look at the rest of the players, remember, they had horrific injuries to the backcourt to start out the season. And then Tony Parker goes away, okay, to another team, and a new guy comes in, DeMar DeRozan, who Pop's got to figure out, and he's got to figure Pop out, how they work that out together. But it's been these other guys. I think Rudy Gay is a key piece to this team's success. Then Bellinelli comes back. So important. Bellinelli, one night he's good, next night not so good, third night, he's no good, and then he goes back to being good again. Patty Mills making shots, Forbes making shots. All these little things are happening at different times, and they're stepping up to give San Antonio probably more wins than a lot of people would have thought they'd have.
And a team that's certainly spreading the wealth out in games. Let's say it one more time. He's averaging 40 over the last 21. That last loss against the Nets, Harden scored 58. He scored at least 30 in 18 straight games. He'll look to continue that streak against the Lakers tonight at 8. What's been most impressive about what he's doing?
I think being in shape. People say, that sounds too easy. Well, you have to, Boozer, you know this, you have to be in a certain kind of shape to put these kind of numbers up every night. I remember Tracy McGrady said it one day with Paul George, when you become that next level superstar, your legs have to be in a certain type of condition because you have to do it every night. It was like we were teasing about Kuzma. He got to 42 and then kind of fell off for a couple games and he got back hot again. He was like, wow, it is hard to get 42 every night. So now when you watch James Harden do it, you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. After coming back from an injury this season to get his legs back in his condition to perform the way he is.
And what's even more impressive to me is that, think about it, he's the #1 thing on the paper when you're trying to stop the Houston Rockets. Right. And he's still putting up these kind of numbers. It's very impressive what he's doing.
Well, Mike D'Antoni says Chris Paul will return sometime next week. This week, the Rockets also lost Clint Capella 4 to 6 weeks following thumb surgery. So how much of these injuries are starting to mount up for this team that makes Harden's run even more ridiculous when you're considering he's not getting help from other guys?
Yeah, he's carrying the load, man. I mean, obviously with CP being out, that hurts a lot. Capella being out, especially with rebounding and someone that dives to the hoop, gets the easy lobs and alley-oop dunks. It makes James Harden job that much more harder, but he's doing it. He's performing, he's carrying that team, he's getting some help from Eric Gordon. You know, Gerald Green's playing very well. Other guys can step up as well, but it's pretty much all on James Harden's shoulders.
Yeah, defensively it's going to be interesting to see how they play good team defense without Capella. Offensively, James has proven he can hold down the fort till Chris Paul gets healthy. But now with Capella, who's going to be that rim protector? Who's going to get those big rebounds he was showing us this season?
Well, that's an interesting question because according to multiple reports, Kenneth Faried is that guy. Now, here's a thing that's just concerning about him. He's played 44 games over the last 2 years, and he's not hurt. Why is that?
Because he hasn't been in Brooklyn's rotation, or should I say plan. He wasn't in Denver's plan. Once Jokic and Nurkic came on, we talked about in the meeting, he had just got that big contract. He said he saw the writing on the wall. He gets to Brooklyn, Kenny Atkinson said he's just not a part of the rotation, so that's what happened. But I will give him credit. He hasn't complained. He hasn't been a bad apple in the locker room. He's been going about his business. Now he's about to get bought out and possibly, go to Houston to all the conversation. If that happens, he will bring energy. That's how he made his name in this NBA, of running the floor, getting loose balls, rebounding, setting good screens, and rolling to the basket.
And speaking of situations, you're a guy that understands it depends as a big what your situation is. For him to play with a guy like James Harden, look, he's averaged 13 points in his career. He's averaged 9 rebounds in a season in his career. Can he get back to that form? He's still just 29.
Well, Houston's going to hope he does. He's very young. He's very fresh. He doesn't have a lot of miles on his legs right now. And the hope for Faried is, like 3D said, he brings energy. There's always room for a guy that brings energy and effort. And if he can continue to run the floor hard, set good screens, roll to the hoop for alley-oops, play good defense, rebound the basketball, he can help that team out.
Keeping with our theme of teams missing their key players, there's none bigger than one LeBron James for the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Well, they come into tonight against Houston riding a 2-game win streak. The Lakers actually 5-7 overall without LeBron now. That includes wins in 4 of their last 6. Of the young Lakers who seemingly are growing through this experience over the past couple of games, who's growing the most to you?
Kyle Kuzma has been cooking. You look at his numbers throughout this stretch, 26 points, 7 rebounds, playing very well. Me and 3D talked about it last night with you, Chris. He plays downhill. He's a runner. He takes advantage of his opportunities. He shoots the ball from a pretty solid clip from the three-point line. He makes his free throws, and he's getting more consistent. And that's the big thing for me with him, because he can pick and pop. He can roll to the hoop. On defense, he can play the 2, 3 to 4, sometimes the 5, depending on who he's going against. So for him, in his second year, to be averaging 19 points and doing what he's doing, trying to hold that fort down offensively, doing a great job.
I think for that OKC game was Alonzo Ball for me, and to hear him say that I'm playing with more confidence, I'm playing more aggressive now that LeBron's down on the floor. He's used to having the ball in his hand. So I'm saying to myself, guys, if Alonzo can play with this type of aggression and this type of focus and this type of confidence when LeBron comes back, then LeBron can say, okay, maybe I can take this quarter off because I know Zoe's going to do all the right things to keep things going. If I come out the game, we're up 10, I come back in, we're up 14 because Zoe is playing confident basketball. That's what I like when I saw in the OKC game.
All right, focusing on this matchup, the Lakers have also lost to the Rockets twice, and that's with LeBron, and that's by an average of 12 points. All right, and James Harden scored 50 the last time these two teams went head-to-head. Can we expect the Lakers to be able to compete in this one? Chris Paul out, Clint Capella out, that's different. But can they compete against James Harden, the bearded one, the way that they're currently constructed without LeBron on the court?
Well, I think what Luke Walton will try to do is to tap in what we saw in the OKC game the other night. The question is, when James Harden gets cooking, does your enthusiasm get taken out of you because now how do you slow him down? You know, on the flip side is you have to get some stops to get some easy offense to get your confidence going on the offensive side of the ball.
I think something else I like that they did the other game was where they had Ingram playing the point, almost like a point forward.
Yes.
That helps them offensively, get guys involved, make plays for each other. So we'll probably see more of that tonight.
LeBron will be cleared to practice next week. Lakers have Golden State on Monday, Timberwolves on Thursday, the Suns on Sunday. When you look at those games and you think of LeBron coming back, when do you foresee him being able to get back on the court if he's just now starting to practice on Monday?
Knowing LeBron, Booz, you've been around him before. If LeBron really wanted to play, I think tomorrow, if we had to, he would. But I think there's being smart just to make sure. So a practice or two, and if Brian said he's ready, then he'll be back on the floor.
Yeah, LeBron's done a great job with his body. As you guys know, he barely ever misses any games, as we've seen throughout his career. I'll leave it up to him. You know, I think if I'm one of his teammates, he knows his body better than anybody else at this stage in his career, does a good job of taking care of it, works out every day. And when he's ready, he'll be back out there. And when he does get back out there, the wins will start going like this. Yeah.
And if you go this, right, because the Lakers in the standings, they were doing this before their recent win streak, winning 4 of their last 6. Does that take the pressure off LeBron to come back when, okay, the young guys are handling this right now, they're staying afloat, they've won 4 of 6, as opposed to, oh, wow, we're falling, we're almost out of the playoff picture in the Western Conference?
I think it's the other way around, where when things were struggling, it might have been some pressure that maybe I come back a little sooner. They win a couple, and now I want to get back now while they're playing well to feed off the good confidence and the good play. Versus they're struggling, it's like, LeBron, come save us. No, now we found our stride. Now we found our confidence. Now come back to your point. Now let's really ride this wave and go that way. I think he's looking at it that way.
Yeah, I agree 100% because now these guys have stepped up. Kuzma's playing better. You know, Lonzo Ball's playing better. Ingram's being a playmaker and doing more things. Then you bring LeBron, who's an MVP candidate, back into the fold and gives them a chance to get even more boosted, hopefully climb a little bit up in this Western Conference standings.
That makes a lot of sense. It'll be interesting to see how the Lakers perform tonight against the Houston Rockets and how they look when LeBron James comes back. Certainly something to be excited about. Russell Westbrook in